Great.
Hello board, we're from Rubinoff and Rubinoff, and the purpose of this presentation will be to analyze the strategic options that are available to RSI and make a recommendation on how they should proceed in order to meet their goals. The presentation will be segmented into 7 parts. First off, we'll go with the vision and mission statements. We'll analyze the strategic options. We'll make our recommendations. We'll provide an implementation plan. We'll go over the forecasting and financing requirements. We'll highlight the operational issues, and then finally we'll wrap things up. The mission and vision statements have been updated to include the services that the spas will be providing. In addition to that, they will also highlight the expansion recommendations that we'll be making as well. So there are 4 strategic options that we reviewed, and we'll go through with our analysis and feedback in the coming slides. The first option was to consolidate RSI and Lavish into a single brand. Option number 2, franchise out RSI's brand using their operations and image as a benchmark. Option number 3 will be the partnership deal with FFL. This will allow RSI to operate MTC within the existing FFL locations. And then option number 4 is the opportunity to acquire Pure Substance Inc., which manufactures a line of products that RSI currently already uses.
The first strategic option available to RSI is consolidation with Lavish. So some of the benefits of this option include consolidation is in line with Sally's mandate of operating under one brand. The 2 companies currently have different mission and vision statements, so consolidating would allow them to use one cohesive strategy. There will be decreased costs in accounting, banking, and administration. There will be centralized decision making. And lastly, there will be a stronger view of the financial statements when they're consolidated, and as a result, financing would be easier to acquire. So some of the drawbacks of this option include 2 companies currently have different operating systems, and as a result, training would be required. They have different accounting policies, such as the depreciation of equipment. Lavish has an employee bonus program, whereas RSI does not. So as a result, RSI would need to implement one. And lastly, the 2 companies have different client bases, services, and atmosphere. So in this graph, we show that net earnings as a percentage of revenue decreases when the 2 companies are consolidated compared to when they are operated individually. This is mainly due to the accounting for the amortization of intangible assets when the companies are consolidated. So the financing for this option is minimal. There will be no investment needed, and any costs would be considered the cost of doing business. The second strategic option available to RSI is franchising. Under this option, some of the benefits include is in line with the board's mandate of growth. RSI can capture market share. RSI can become a reputable brand in the spa industry, and experienced franchisees that are using the RSI name can help RSI improve their operations. And some of the drawbacks include franchisees may have different values than the RSI, and as a result, their brand and reputation may be tarnished. There will be a significant investment of time needed from the CEO and other core shareholders. Ideal locations may not be available for each of the franchisees, and the process to screen applicants may be time-consuming as well as costly. So in this graph, we show that if a franchise were to be opened, the number of therapists hired, as it increases from 1 to 5, the net earnings as a percentage of revenue increases. However, the key point is if at least one therapist is hired, the franchise will be profitable. So we've also determined the break-even cost for franchising. We've determined that to break even with startup costs, at least 8 franchises will need to be developed. And to break even with ongoing costs, at least 5 franchises will need to be developed. So the financing required for this option will include a $250,000 initial investment, as well as a $65,000 ongoing costs.
And the third option is to partnership with FFL, which is operating its fitness centers across the area. It has 25 branches as of now, and the new venture would come up with 4 branches in the beginning. So the benefits are that RSI is not taking 100% risk in this new venture, because the FFL would provide its space and the funding for renovation of space at a lower rate of interest. The huge customer base of FFL would be used for this new venture. RSI can keep its employees for the training of the new therapists, and there's diversification and financial stability to RSI, as the profits from the new venture would be a big support to RSI and Lavish. The drawbacks include there is no brand building in this venture for RSI and Levish, FFL using its own name in this new venture, but still that thing is negotiable. It can negotiate to use its logo and name at each location. There is significant dependency on FFL for its financial stability and for its customer base. There are additional expenses for RSI in terms of initial working capital and operating expenses. And accuracy of FFL's financial information is a major thing which has to cross-examine its. So RSI should check its audited financial statement and it should do all the dedups and checks. The graph shows that in first year, when it comes with 2 branches, the profitability is close to $175,000, which is 3 times of the initial investment which RSI will put in this new venture. So that's a good thing, and the profit keeps on increasing. The financing required is of $50,000. That's for initial year, and as I told that there is 3 times of profitability in first year. So in the coming years, the investment depends upon the circumstances and the additional cost if it has to be done. The fourth option is to acquire Pure Substancing, which is a manufacturing company. It produces organic spa products, which is used by thousands of the companies for its spa industry. The benefits are vertical integration. That means the reduction in cost is of a big benefit to RSI, and it gives an edge for the competition in this industry. Definitely there's improvement in brand image. There's potential growth in retail segment because the wholesale segment is just being served by the existing company. The drawbacks are that RSI has no experience in this manufacturing industry. It's a totally different industry. RSI is a service industry. So there is foreign competition, like imported products are there in the market. There is significant increase in cost and the ethical issues that staff will be there or not in the new after acquisition. So the graph shows that there is big decrease in the gross margin, and the reason is the cost of goods sold, which is increasing year on year. So again, financing depends upon the purchase price, which is still at the negotiation stage. So this is the thing. So it depends upon how the things move.
We have analyzed the options based on the following criteria. First, we determine if the options is in line with the company's strategy and objective. Second, given the board wants to sell RSI in the future, the options selected should help improve the company's brand recognitions, which in turn improve these future sales negotiations. We also consider if the options is in line with the board objective to meet growth target. Given there are specific bank governance in place, we need to ensure that the option is in line with these constraints as well. The last criterion we look at is whether there are enough resources for the company to pursue these options. Based on the decision criteria we have just discussed, our recommendation is to first consolidate RSI and Lavish into one entity from both financial and operational perspective. We also recommend RSI to pursue the partnership with FFL as it is a highly profitable venture. We also recommend the RSI to go ahead with the franchising options, even though this should be delayed until 1 year later, as the company currently does not have enough time or resources to ensure the success of the franchises. It is, however, not recommended for RSI to acquire Pure Substance, even though the venture has the potential to be profitable in the future. The risk associated with it is simply too high. Based on our recommendations, here is our proposed implementation plan. In 2016, we need to have Michael and Emily on board to work with Sally to establish managerial responsibilities for the company. The accounting departments should be responsible for analyzing the costs and the savings as well. It is important that the consolidation process is communicated effectively to all employees. Staff training should be provided beginning 2017 until 2018 to ensure a smooth and effective transitions. In 2017, Sally should monitor the consolidated entity to ensure that it's on track going forward. Regarding the partnership with FFL, Negotiations and final acceptance of the proposal should be finalized in 2016. Lisa needs to be on board as the manager of the MTC, and she needs to work with FFL to hire another manager by 2017. Sally and Lisa need to begin monitor the progress of MTC to ensure that the partnership is on track going forward. Even though franchising does not take place until 2017, Emily and Sally need to look for locations in 2016 because the success of the franchises primarily depends on where the stores are located. In this year, Emily should also begin to interview the potential franchisee candidates. Starting from 2017 going forward, Sally needs to hire a controller to be in charge of monitoring and performance review of the franchises. Training should be provided to the selected franchisees starting from this year as well. And as you can see, these are ongoing tasks that need to be performed until 2021.
The pro forma income statements included in our report indicate that RSI's net income will drastically increase between the years 2016 through to 2018. This is largely due to the reduction in operating costs from the consolidation efforts in conjunction with the increased revenue from the FFL partnership and the franchising opportunities. Now, in order to finance these projects, it isn't recommended that the bank be consulted for additional funding. This is because they have strict covenants and they don't allow the shareholders to withdraw funds from the company unless the covenants are being met. Assuming successful expansion, the soonest that the shareholders will be able to withdraw funds will be in the year 2017. Even though the interest rate is a little bit higher with the Blair Cummings offer, it should be considered just because he has less stringent covenants and he allows for the shareholders to be paid as they feel fit. In the event that he should decide to convert his debt in the future, RSI will be able to leverage his financing background as they seat him on the board.
So looking at the operational issues with RSI, we recommended that the overall corporate structure of RSI and Lavish be consolidated into one, which basically means one governance structure for both entities. And we recommend retaining the current managers of RSI and Lavish because they're good at what they do, and they should be given more of an oversight role to look over the two spas. And looking at the accounting and financial perspective, ASPE is going to need to be adopted by both entities, and with this, retrospective changes are going to have to be made to the financial statements of RSI. And there was discussion of RSI going public in the future, and when and if this is to happen, RSI will need to adopt IFRS. And we also recommend consolidating the banking of RSI and Lavish into one to avoid duplication of administrative costs. Just looking at the overall administrative functions, we recommend that one information system be implemented for both RSI and Lavish, which would decrease costs. And we also recommend training sessions be provided with respect to use of the new information system, and an administrative team lead be appointed that would basically look over the administrative functions of both RSI and Lavish as one. With respect to the overall governance, with external funding now coming into play, ASPE is going to need to be adhered to strictly by RSI, and we did notice that the current board lacks someone with a financial and accounting background, so this is something that should be looked into. And overall, we think that implementing a balanced scorecard and a new employee bonus scheme is going to be helpful. With a balanced scorecard being implemented, it's going to help align the business activities with the operations, and operations of RSI with the strategic goals of the shareholders, and that management should implement this balanced scorecard starting from the beginning of the transition so it can be incorporated in. With the employee bonus scheme, we recommend like a two-tier structure with managers and above and below managers. And for both the balanced scorecard and the new employee bonus scheme, you can look into the appendices of our report to see a detailed breakdown.
So we've gone over the business opportunities that are available to RSI, and we've gone with the following recommendations. First off, they should consolidate RSI and Lavish in order to reduce costs. Secondly, they should pursue the partnership deal with FFL in order to increase revenue. And finally, they should also pursue the franchising opportunity in order to introduce a new income stream into the business. With these strategies being implemented, they'll allow for the company to meet its growth and prosperity goals in the future moving